Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Rob Roselli Show. I'm excited to welcome to the program. Rob Roselli. Rob, how are you? Day 22 in quarantine, but not for you, but for a lot of America. It's got to be a crazy time when you're driving around seeing hardly anyone out there. And maybe they are out there. Who knows?
Oh, look, again, I'm trying to make this a habit on every interview. I mean, boxofsunglasses.com, God's simple salvation plan. It's at this point, it's the best I can do. I don't know where to begin. I think what we're seeing here is the convergence of what I've interpreted in the book of Revelation, and what's going on with current events. Okay. And I'll say this again, forget the prophets of God, prophets with an F. Most of these clowns don't know what they're talking about. They should be writing for the Cartoon Network, because it has no basis, as far as I can see, in geopolitical realities of what's going on in the world. And I'll just kind of open up with that.
I mean, it's a great way to open it up, but I mean, it's just like just the thing that I'm seeing is the country's going to get divided again if we should open it back up or stop working. And most of the country that's going to say, let's keep it the way it is, they like this, right? They get to work from home. They don't have any boss watching them. They don't have to do as much. They don't have to commute out the door. And
Let
they're
me,
they
let me stop you there.
Mhm.
It goes much deeper than that. I mean, of course, there's going to be societal changes, and they're going to waste time talking about stuff like that. But it goes much deeper than that. All right. Before this whole thing started, you were already kind of seeing the red state, blue state divide, and the anger that was brewing. Okay, with the whole get Trump thing, with the Russia collusion hoax, and this sort of thing. And all this coronavirus is doing, and has done, in my opinion, is accentuate those divides. Okay, I don't know. I came across a map, a few years ago, and one of the conspiracy websites, the Russians, this Russian political scientist had split up the United States, and the Russians watch us just like the Chinese watch us very closely. I mean, in this country, we're a bunch of jerk offs. Okay, we're a bunch of mind dumbed down university, Harvard soy boy, moronic jerk offs, and don't think the Chinese and the Russians are watching this whole thing very closely, and are in fact, especially the Chinese, are in fact responsible for the dumbing down of where we are currently. So, people working from home, and those kinds of shifts. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's going to happen. People are going to start rethinking, and that's great, but these rifts in our society have been cultivated and made manifest in these very quickly eroding end times. We've talked about this time and again. The Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford Foundation and the communist sellouts. This whole fifth column, permeating down to the media complex and the education complex. And here we go. Okay, so that's a much bigger picture. So what you're seeing, and of course, there's remnants of America still around. But those remnants of America still around are going to be crashing headlong into the remnants of the new America, the new world order, the so-called liberal America. Okay, so for example, the morons in New York City that elected these very dumb public officials that told them to go out and celebrate, while this virus was raging. Then all of a sudden, everybody wants to, run out of New York City and move to different geographic areas. Um, they're going to start really pissing people off that live in those other areas. For number one, for voting for the idiots that allowed this thing to accentuate, and then bringing the disease to all these towns. I mean, you're already seeing it. In the case of New York City, for example, people outside the city in other parts of New York State are really pissed off. I mean, other states are blocking New Yorkers from coming down into their state. Florida, for
Exactly.
instance.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to generalize. Okay, I'm just making a point. I'm not saying we should start. I'm not advocating any kind of civil war. I'm making an observation here of where this is all going. So just getting back to my point, those kinds of geopolitical rifts, the Russians have been watching very closely. So now, um, and I'll tell you, this is going to my Mystery Babylon link, by the way. But I'm kind of building a case here. Is that where this is all going? Is that eventually the United States will split into regions? Okay, so like Northern California wants to split from California. The western counties of Virginia want to split from the state of Virginia and join West Virginia. Upstate New York are really pissed off. There's an article the other day about Cuomo, authorizing the National Guard to march into some of these upstate counties and towns and to take ventilators if they needed them. And a lot of people up in those areas that don't like Cuomo. Again, you got that, inner city kind of blue Democratic versus, the red state America split. we're not very happy about it. I'm not sure what's gonna happen there if it is gonna happen, because the virus does seem to be temporarily subsiding right now. But the point is that this country will split into like 6 regions, I think it was. And then when that happens, now if you're Putin, okay, and you're sitting over there in Russia and you're watching all this insanity,
Exactly.
you're you're going to eventually you're going to say, wait a second, these people are certifiably insane. Talking about the United States, and you wouldn't be that far from incorrect if you're watching these politicians, and we'll talk about that in a second. But he's going to be over there saying, and when these people get rid of Trump, and I'm not trying to deify Trump again, I'll say it again and again, but why they hate him so much is because he represents the old America, my America, and I'm sure many people listening America, and this is why they hate him. The globalist, the Bill Gates, that Nazi eugenics descendant psychopath, Bill Gates. This is why they hate him so much, because he stands in the way of their new world order plans. And very quickly, I think that's the deadly head wound. Okay, because Trump wasn't supposed to win. That was supposed to be Hillary Clinton. Remember, the head wound is a political head wound. I'm
Right.
not talking about killing anybody. It's again, Isaiah chapter 7. Okay, but anyway, so now you're Putin, and all of a sudden the United States is in 6 different regions, or basically, and it's not going to happen that cleanly. Obviously, you're going to have civil wars breaking out all over the country. Okay, when they get rid of Trump, I mean, a lot of the country's not going to, with some kind of scam, or they just get rid of him, period. How are they going to get rid of him? They're going to shoot him, they're going to impeach him, they're going to arrest him, who knows? But when that day happens, a lot of these regions are just going to say the hell with it. We're going to build a border. We're going to stay safe. And if you maniacs from, New York City want to think you're going to come down and come into our region, it's not going to happen. You're already starting to see it. Okay. So I'm not making this up. I mean, you're already starting to see it. So then Putin's over there. Who really controls the military in the United States? Who controls the nuclear weapons in the United States? You know what I'm saying? Who controls the military? Now, I came across an article the other day. I mean, now they have these containers coming on, these container ships with, missiles, cruise missiles that you can't even detect. Okay. And this sort of thing. The Russians, these new hypersonic missiles that can't
Right.
be, there's counter to them. Okay. So I have to believe that Putin's over there watching this whole thing very closely. When this thing goes down, just for mere survival, if these psychopaths that have been accusing him, all this Russia bashing the last 3 years, I can't believe that he's going to sit idly by and say, these people are insane. They have to be put out of their misery. Okay. And this is awful stuff. But I'm talking about some kind of catastrophic ambush nuclear strike. Okay. I mean, excuse my French. We don't have a lot of time. I think, I don't know if we're down to weeks or months. Again, I'm not a time setter, maybe a year. I don't know, but it's events are certainly building rapidly. I think even a year might be too long. I don't know. But anyway, it's going to be a nuclear ambush. It's just going to the snap of a finger. Okay. And this is the scenario I painted out in Revelation 17 and 18. Okay. It's going to happen in 1 hour. It's going to be, excuse my French, it's going to be a holy shit moment. Okay. For the rest of the world. And this is enough time to go into it. Maybe if we do a longer show at one point, we can do it line by line, but this is the basic scenario. Okay. So right before that, you're already seeing hints of this. China is going to be implicated in this coronavirus, which is running in parallel to this whole thing. It's events are starting to overrun or run in parallel and overlap each other. Okay, biblical events. I mean, the Bible isn't linear. Okay, I keep saying that, and I keep repeating it. Hopefully, people are starting to figure it out. It's not a
Right.
nice, neat. It's not a nice, neat, 3.5 year tribulation and, deadly head wounds. And then, the 2 witnesses, running around Jerusalem for 3.5 years and they die and they get raptured. No, events are going to start overlapping. Okay. So in parallel to the whole Putin watching this thing, you got the Chinese over there who hate us. Okay. Now that's not conspiracy theory. That's just basic fact. The Chinese want to run the world. They want to run the world economy. Why? Because they're communists. They're power hungry psychopaths. Okay. So you got the whole situation. So when the Russians decide to move in and say, we got to deal with these people, I don't think the Chinese are going to jump on the bandwagon. Then what happens after that? So the United States is gone. And this is in Revelation 18. I mean, the whole world's going to look at that, and they're, first I say, the beast is going to hate the whore, okay, which is the entire world just about, or a large portion of it. And then they're going to burn her with fire. Okay, that's a nuclear strike, I believe. Then there's going to be some remorse, like, the nations of the world being like, holy shit, there goes the United States. But think about what happens after that. now you got Taiwan, you got Hong Kong, and you got Chinese, or the Japanese, excuse me. They hate each other. Okay, all those countries I just mentioned, they all hate China. China hates them. Okay, so you got that stabilizing force, United States. You're gonna have a mini war there. And then of course you got the Middle East. Okay, so when the United States is not there to protect Israel, then you're gonna have 200 million, religion of peace people moving in to overtake Israel. Okay, Israel's going to be on its own. And then then you got Russia and China, which never really liked each other to begin with. So now, without the United States in the middle, who knows what's going to happen between those two nations? Do you see where you're going to have wars all over the world? Okay, you're going to have, this is Matthew 24 that's happening right now. Okay, we're seeing it now. As far as this country is concerned, okay, remember last week I talked Job chapter 12,
Yes.
and I keep going back to that. I keep referring to that. And I think what's happening in this country, and Trump's largely responsible for the time being, these people in this country, the psychopaths are being exposed for what they are. Bill Gates and all these people. I mean, go to Mike Adams and Natural News, and I don't know Mike Adams from a hole in the world, but aside from him, I believe he made a mistake in overestimating the severity of the current pandemic. He has some very good information on natural cures and better cures than what the eugenicist Bill Gates is pushing as far as vaccines. Okay. And already seen the politicians. Well, how are we, it's all this confusion is being put out there. I believe a lot of it on purpose. Okay. So how are we going to reintegrate to society? Well, you got to have a Bill Gates vaccine. Okay. And the vaccines are I won't go off on that right now, but bottom line is it's all about control. And you got a large portion of the country, along with Donald Trump, saying, I'm not going to wear a face mask. I'm not going to do vaccines and all this sort of thing. So you're going to have you got a huge rift going on there in the country. People aren't going to put up with this. They're not going to say, I can't leave my house. I can't go back to work. I can't go to a football game without a vaccine. Bill Gates says so. Okay, the World Health Organization, or the Chinese Health Organization, as the Prime Minister of Japan calls it, is going to say, no, you have to have a vaccine. So you can have those kinds of little mini civil wars happening in the United States, as I mentioned previously. Okay, but getting back to Job chapter 12, for the time being, and I think for the foreseeable future, I mean, these idiots on TV, I'm talking about the politicians, the Pelosi's, the Schiffs, and all these other douchebags. And I'm giving them too much credit by calling them douchebags. But anyway, they're going to keep acting more maniacal than they already are. They're going to be exposed for the psychopaths that they are. Now, there was an interesting story yesterday. Okay, New York City. I mean, there was a tweet, from the Health Commission of New York City saying, well, we need 80, or I think it was 80 temporary morgues. Tractor trailers. And each one of these things apparently holds 100 bodies. You're running out of space to bury these people. That's a New York City Health Commissioner. Okay. Which is very odd, because 80 times 100 is 8,000 dead people, which is very odd, because I went and checked the numbers of deaths in the United States. The whole United States is only 10,000 people as of yesterday. Okay, so that's, what the hell is this guy talking about? And then of course Cuomo is on there saying, well, we got the thing under control. Yeah, and then you have all the videos. Okay, you have all the videos coming out now. The mainstream media, so-called, giving us videos from Italy and these other places saying this is the United States. They keep getting called on it.
Isn't that crazy?
And you've seen this.
Yeah.
You've seen this, Neil. You've seen it. And then all these videos now. You got these people driving around, citizen journalists, okay, doing the job the sellout communist-owned press won't do. Going out and filming hospitals that are essentially empty. And the day after the media was there saying these places are being overrun. Okay.
That's only to get Trump out of office. The only reason.
This is, again, then we had the situation yesterday so I believe what's going on. Trump going out of office is just step one of their plan. That then, but you got to think about this tweet. Why would the guy say you need, so I think what's happening, I think this quote conspiracy, I think it's widespread. I think there's a lot of politicians that are in on it. I don't know how coordinated it is, but I believe a tweet like this idiot health commissioner of New York City sent yesterday, I think that was supposed to be sent out at a time. I think it was supposed to generate panic and all kinds of misery to people, to try and convince them that the virus is much worse than it is. And I'm not trying to minimize the virus. I'm not trying to do that at all. Okay. But I think you're going to start seeing just more and more stupidity like that as the actors in this whole thing start to break up. Okay. They're going to start, and believe me, they're nervous. Okay. The people that started this thing, again, Bill Gates and the rest of them, Pelosi and Soros, and Yeah, they literally made a deal with the devil, and they're getting nervous, and they will get rid of Trump. Okay, so that, and the head wound, the political head wound of Hillary and Obama. Okay, the image of the beast Obama, remember that name or whatever that guy's name is, all of a sudden coming back in as the savior of the United States. And remember, in Second Thessalonians chapter 2, when they are crying peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them. So how about this for a scenario? They get rid of Trump. We were talking right before the show. I haven't really caught up to this one about Trump having a stake in this drug he's pushing. I don't know. But whatever the means is, almost isn't as important as the fact that when Trump goes, okay, the head wound of what was supposed to be President Hillary will recover with a savior of the United States known as Barack Obama, or that whatever his name is, okay? Because, that's another group of douchebags. I mean, if you really think about how stupid these people are and they're being exposed, I mean, you have Joe Biden, okay? And this virus is providing cover for Joe Biden as well, if you think about it, right? They don't have to expose his senile, stupid ass on the TV as much, okay? And he's a fool. Okay, so think about it. Who's left? Okay, so Bernie's is just a slobbering idiot.
I mean, yeah, there's really
right?
so it's good. Yeah, there's so much. Yeah,
Bernie's
Bernie.
a slobbering idiot. Okay, so who's left? And Hillary's damaged goods. Okay, so I don't think she makes it. They kicked Tulsi Gabbard out. Okay, the only who I think was one woman, one politician who really could have given Trump a hard time if it was a legitimate political system, but it's not. But they got rid of her because she was speaking out against the war machine, so she's gone. So who's left in the political landscape but the image of the beast, Barack Hussein Obama? Okay, and you're starting to see his ego kind of seep back into this whole thing. And wouldn't it just be wonderful, once they get rid of Trump and maybe Pence, because I'm sure they'll type Pence into whatever they type, then all of a sudden you got President Pelosi, and all of a sudden, maybe you got, I don't know, maybe you got Hillary and Obama moving back into the White House,
Oh goodness gracious!
being called a savior. Okay, peace and safety. I'm here to save you. I'll take your Bill Gates vaccine. And then, again, remember what we talked about at the beginning. A lot of the country's not going to stand for that. And again, I'm not advocating revolution. I'm not doing that at all. I know eventually people are going to take me out of my words, and they'll probably hold me off. But whatever, that's fine. But just imagine the breakdown in this country after Obama gets up there and says peace and safety. Remember, when they cry peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them. So I don't think, like many of these prophecy scholars, it's not going to be a worldwide peace treaty, or it may be something very temporary, but it's not going to last. It might only last a few days, or who knows. I mean, first you're going to have pandemonium, then you're going to, and the stuff's going to kind of happen all at once. It's just going to explode. Okay. This is why I say,
Definitely. Rob, we are running out of time. Boxofsunglasses.com. I know you're fired up. This is probably the big week of weeks. Like they say, this is going to be all the death and destruction. There's going to be so much death this week. Rob sees it as a huge turning point this week.
I don't want to, I'm not trying to underestimate. I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
say people aren't suffering from this virus, but I'm trying to say there's a much bigger picture going on. I'm not advocating violence. I want to say that again and again.
Oh,
what
absolutely.
I want to teach people with is God's simple salvation plan, because this whole thing's going live, and maybe next show we can talk about why I believe that it was an accidental release of this virus which is another reason why all these people are panicking with these fake tweets. But anyway, we'll talk to you later.
All right, yes, boxsunglasses.com, Rob. We'll talk next week. Take care.
I know. Thanks.
All right, that was the Rob Roselli Show, guys.